The clock is ticking. Sequence 1. Copyright Ella. He woke up to a bright, sunny day. The sunlight was streaming through the window, filling up the room. His mouth was dry and he felt dizzy. He must have had too much to drink the night before. He glanced at the woman he had sex with the previous night. Her arm was wrapped around him. He gently eased himself from under her and got out of bed. When he stood up, waves of nausea swept over him and he rushed to the bathroom. He knelt before the toilet and threw up. Afterwards, he walked to the sink and brushed his teeth. Then he went ahead to take a quick cold shower. A while later, he turned off the water and stepped out, wrapping himself up in a blue towel. He stepped back into his room and found the woman was wide awake and sat up in his bed, but for the life of him, he couldn't remember her name. This wasn't something odd for him. He never mastered the names of the women he picked up at the club. "I woke up alone," she said. "I had to shower. Last night was great, you didn't disappoint," she said with a little smile. "I see," he responded coldly. Chart allowed the towel to drop to the floor as he began to get dressed. She quietly eased up behind him and wrapped her hands around his waist. "You don't have to dress up so fast," she whispered in his ears. He turned around so he could face her. "Last night was amazing, but you should leave now." She quickly dropped her hands and stepped aside. "You are kicking me out." "Listen, Phoebe, you were." "Phoebe, are you fucking kidding me?" she asked in annoyance. "Wait, isn't that your name?" "It's Francine," she shouted. "Phoebe, Francine, it's all the same thing." Such a jerk, she stamped her feet. "Whatever," he stuck his tongue out. She scooped up her clothes and started getting dressed. When she was fully clothed, she looked herself in front of the mirror. Then she raised her hand to smooth her hair. "So, this is goodbye?" she asked, hoping he would change his hand about kicking her out. "Wait. What?" He pulled out some money from his wallet and handed it to her. "What is this for?" she asked, puzzled. "You can get a cab back home and use the rest of the money to spoil yourself for a job well done last night," he said with a smirk. She grabbed the money and tore it to pieces. "I am not a whore." "Suit yourself." He laughed. She grabbed her purse and shook her head before storming out of the room. "Bye," he called after her. He was used to picking up women and paying them for sex. Last night was no different. He had gone out to have a few drinks after work when he picked Francine up. Maddie woke up feeling her daughter's arms wrapped tightly around her waist. She slowly untangled herself from her daughter, careful not to wake her up. She got out of bed and quietly got dressed. Then she walked back to the side of the bed where her daughter was sleeping and kissed her on top of her forehead. Afterwards, she grabbed her phone and made her way out as quietly as possible. She put her earbuds in and set "Hello" on her phone. Maddie stepped out of the house, letting the fresh air wash over her face as she started her morning run. The street was empty at that time of the day. There were only a handful of people here and there. This was the best part of her day. Running gave her a chance to clear her mind and find peace. She ran for over 40 minutes. When her shirt was damp with sweat, she turned back home. When she walked back into her apartment, her daughter was running around the house giggling. "Mama Bear," Maddie smiled before she picked up the running toddler. "Hey Mama." She kissed her on top of her head, then put her down. "I can't hold you for long, I am sweaty." "Good morning, Auntie Maddie," her maid called out with a clear voice. "Morning, Tess. How was your run?" "Good." Tess smiled as she handed Maddie a glass of lemon water. Maddie gulped down a large mouthful from the glass and handed it back to her. "I am going to shower, please get Trinity ready for school." Once in her room, Maddie undressed and went straight to the bathroom and started taking a shower. She had just walked out of the bathroom when her phone rang. She picked it up and answered. "Hello. Matilda," the familiar voice said clearly on the other end of the line. "Hey Mum, how are you?" "I am well, thanks." "I am fine too," Maddie said, knowing very well her mother would never ask how she was doing. Her mother laughed. "I didn't ask about how you are doing." I know, I just thought you would be happy to know how I am doing. Anyway, let me not waste much of your time. I called to remind you about tomorrow. Oh, she snapped. I know what tomorrow is, Mummy. I will be there. You had better be. All right, see you tomorrow. Maddie hung up the phone before her mother could say more. She took a deep breath, then she stood up. Her mother always managed to put her in foul mood. The two never had a strong relationship. Growing up, there was a distance that never closed up between them, and it was present till now. According to her mother, Maddie was the black sheep of the family, the one child who had managed to run her name in the mud by getting pregnant out of wedlock. Maddie was the exact opposite of all her siblings. While they choose money, she chose passion, and now she was living her dreams. Mummy, Trinity rushed into the room. She was all dressed up and ready to go to school. Yes, Mama Bear. We are going to be late. I am almost done, baby. Have you had your breakfast yet? Yes. All right, tell Auntie Tess to pack your homework book. I will be out shortly. Okay. She turned for the door. Maddie couldn't help but smile as her daughter ran out of the room. Her little girl had become her saving grace, granting her the strength to get through anything. Sure, her child was unplanned, but she wouldn't trade her for anything in the world.